Let's start off. Tell me about your childhood. Like, how did you get into bodybuilding?
That's a good question. I am a late bloomer. I was not into sports. I wasn't lifting at all. I was actually skateboarding and into rock and roll. I swear, I have pictures. Skinny little rocker dweeb. And what got me into bodybuilding was I went to the gym one day and a bodybuilder kind of like bullied me, to be honest with you. Yeah. And I started like lifting weights with as much knowledge as I knew at the time. I'd say I was like late bloomer, meaning I started lifting at like 19, honestly. And then I saw the movie Pumping Iron with
The
Arnold,
first one.
the first one.
Right.
And I was like, I want to be a bodybuilder. And obviously, I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew that I wanted to be like that. And that incident at the gym also had a part to do with inspiring me getting bigger and stronger to like, defend myself and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
I think it's interesting. Almost every bodybuilder, a lot of guys in sports, they'll always bring up some type of bullying that got them into it. So once you got into bodybuilding, obviously everyone can see you on screen. I mean, you're freaking ginormous. For anyone who's listening on audio, you got to check out the YouTube. He's huge. What's your philosophy for training? Do you have a specific philosophy that you like to do? Is there anything when you're starting with clients like you like to put them through? What's your philosophy?
I actually have two philosophies. Um, Mind to muscle connection and time under tension. If you follow those two philosophies at the gym, you'll you'll change your physique and you'll go further and farther in the sport of like bodybuilding and sculpting your body.
So when you say my muscle connection, for anyone listening, describe that. Like a lot of people go, what do you mean by that? Like, can you describe what you mean?
Absolutely. So a lot of times when you get someone that's not familiar with the term or just starting out in their fitness journey, they kind of like, let's say we're doing bench press and they'll get in the bench and I say, do 20 reps, right? This is just an example. And they'll just start moving weight to get to a rep count. There's no connection. Yes, the muscle is being used, but not till its optimal potential because you're not really connected. So what I say to clients to like tune them in is say, hey, what are we going to train today? Chest. Okay. Squeeze your chest. You feel that? I want you to feel that, what you just felt during the set. So they connect with the target muscle group that we're training, and it's just that much more effective.
I remember one of your clients. I mean, we won't mention him, but you'll know who it is. But I remember the way that you described him. You started throwing your arms all over the place. He's like, yeah, that's why I actually went up to him, because it didn't look like he knew what the hell he was doing. So the second point, you said time under tension. I think that's interesting. I would say a lot, and I'm open to hear your side, but I would say a lot of fitness gurus would say that volume is more important, meaning, and for, most people, that's going to be the sets times the weight, time the amount of reps, right? So just the overall workload. So do you feel that if someone did less volume, but more time under tension, do you actually find that that's more important?
Well, think about volume, right? What's volume? High reps, correct? High reps, depending on speed, tempo, and intensity, that's the duration of the time under tension. As soon as you pick up the weight, the muscle is under tension, right?
Correct.
So if you're doing 20 reps, but depends the speed, you're going to be in there for at least 20 seconds, unless you're doing 2-second reps, 3-second reps. So the number really is just a measurement of time. It's a goal to get to mentally, but you want to take advantage of every repetition to that number, meaning that's the time under that stress, which, mind you, is what stimulates your body to change.
Right. In terms of nutrition, do you have any specific concept you take? I think most people know eat healthy, move more, that type of stuff. But is there anything you've done for yourself or maybe for clients that you find is easier to stick to, or that someone listening maybe would want to try?
As far as nutrition,
Nutrition, yeah. Like anything specific, because we all know, and if it's just eat less, move more, that type of stuff, but is there anything specific, types of diets, structures, protocols, anything that you found has worked better for either clients, yourself, etc.?
honestly, I think the best thing that's worked every single time with different body types, because remember, everyone's different. So what might work for you, dietary, might not work for me, because remember, there's so many factors and variables. Allergies, I don't like that. I hate vegetables, right? So besides all that, right? What's I've found to be like the most successful would be carb cycling. So
And
like
explain that for anyone who's listening.
so carb cycling is basically having like a high carb day, a medium carb day, and a low carb day. And just that fluctuation with a certain structure in accordance with your training really is effective.
Have you? I mean, I think you just said earlier you're fasting today.
Yeah.
I'm fasting. We both
Yeah.
took shots of whiskey before this to break our fast.
Yeah.
But do you like in terms of carb cycling? If someone else was just to fast, are you a proponent of that, or do you actually think it's harmful? Is it similar?
So it depends. I've kind of went into this fasting thing organically because of my work schedule. I wake up kind of like early. I don't have an appetite at that time. So I'll just do coffee. And then once I get to the gym, mind you, black coffee, straight, no sugar, no
Yeah,
creamer.
nothing in it.
And once I get to the gym that I'm working, I have less of an appetite. So I'll like break my fast like at 1 p.m. once I'm done with my shift and I'm actually hungry.
Yeah, so you already kind of do intermittent fasting. It sounds like.
Just organically.
Yeah.
Not like, oh my God, I'm gonna fast. It's just the way my schedule works. But I feel great. Mind you, I was the bodybuilder that would eat 6 meals a day, protein, all that, you know that.
I know
like
that life for sure.
And it first of all, it's stressful. It does add like an underlying stress because like you have certain meals to take in. And secondarily, you have to prepare, obviously. And I just remember that stress load. I would eat in traffic. I would eat in the gym. I would just eat wherever I had to eat at that time. So now I don't do that anymore. I eat now, I'd say probably like 2 to 3 times a day. And I fast till like about 1 or 2 p.m.
Yeah. No, and I actually think it's better. I find that fasting 1 or 2 times a week is better. And I think especially, back in the day, I was on some gear, and I think like when you're not on it, it's even more important in terms of maybe nutrition, or you got to be a little bit more on top of it. I would say you can't be quite as careless. And I think that's been helpful for me. Something I noticed about you when I met you is it almost feels that you're overly nice or polite, not in a bad way. I find that it's almost, it's just your attention to it is interesting to me. And so is there anything that happened to you in your childhood or maybe growing up, or did something happen that made you so much like that? Because even when I met you, I just think the conversation was very, hey, I hope I'm not bothering you, XYZ, I just want to say this. It just was almost over the top, as if, you were intruding, which you weren't. And so I'm curious, like, did anything happen that made you that way, or?
I remember starting out bodybuilding that I was still that skinny kid, hungry, asking, and growing. I remember this guy like that. He was like a pretty huge bodybuilder at that gym that I was training at that time. And he told me something that has stuck with me to this day. And he said, brother, the bigger you get, the more humble you should be. Because I was that kid, like wanting and asking and in need, and like just I needed guidance and all that stuff, right? So like when I went through the process of building a body and bodybuilding, I just remembered that saying. So I go out of my way to like help others or just be humble, because like, listen, if you come from like the beginnings that I had, like you're really that person, but now you look intimidating or you look unapproachable, which I get a lot. Like I get a lot of that at the gym. They're like, once we talk, they're like, man, you're so nice, wow. And I'm like, you don't judge a book by its cover. Right. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But a lot of bodybuilders are dicks.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
up.
I think it just comes with a stereotype. I think athletes can be that way. Athletes have the stereotype they're dumb. I think bodybuilders, they get the meathead stereotype.
Yeah.
But I think the way you act it's refreshing, not even just as a bodybuilder, but in general, because I think you go very out of your way to make people feel comfortable and feel appreciated. You've been, at least until recently, and we'll get into that, but until recently, you've been an in-person trainer in Miami. So I'm actually curious to hear, like, what's your thoughts about in-person training? What was it like training as an in-person trainer in Miami? How much money can you make? For any of the guys out there who may be into fitness or they're thinking about in-person or maybe even moving to Miami, whatever, just walk me through more of that, because you've been doing it for a while, right?
Yeah. A long time. To me, I know it sounds a little, it could be cheesy, but it's fulfilling to get someone from a point of fear, insecurity, self-doubt, and through the weights, and also through, because think about it, brother, like you're a therapist, you're a nutritionist, you're a trainer,
You're definitely a therapist,
you're a marriage counselor, like you're a lot of hats with your clients. So not only are you helping them physically with the tools at the gym, you're also like creating through that work a new mindset in the individual. And to me, after about, I'd say 90 days, which is 3 months, to see that person go from, a cocoon to a butterfly, if you will, it's really fulfilling for me. And then they feel like, man, Turo, you helped me so much. You like got me to a better mindset. I'm more confident. I have higher energy. I feel great. I look great. And really, they did the work. I just guided them there. Right. And that's what a good coach does. Because like I feel, it's like my slogan, like beyond sets and reps, right? Like, because trainers like typically just like, okay, we're going to bench press 4 sets of 10. And they count reps and that's it, onto chest flies, right? Nah, like I actually like dive into the person's mind during the work and during our session and during our time. That's why my time is so valuable, because I'm offering them value beyond sets and reps.
Right.
That's just the tool to get to their psyche, because everyone's at the gym for a purpose. And sometimes you got to find that purpose. It could be anything. I've heard, I'm in here, I just got a divorce, I'm sad, I want to just get better. I've heard, I want to do a show. Everyone's in there for some type of pain, reason, purpose, and you got to find that as a trainer or a coach in all your clients. Doesn't matter if you're starting or you're a veteran like myself. I find that that's the key to success, is helping them overcome whatever has them going to the gym.
How have you found most of your personal training clients in Miami? At least I know recently things changed, but we'll get into that next. I'm very curious about that. But how do you get most of your in-person clients in Miami? Is it referrals? Is it ads? Like, how do you do that?
Referrals. And at the gym, like I go to the gym and I just take people through a workout. They like it, and I tell them my rates, and it's an easy close, or just I'm there shaking hands. I'm there helping people, spotting people, re-racking weights, cleaning, just being available at the gym. I've had a lot of success because, listen, cold calls, emails, even social media, they're not there. Mm-hmm. Like you gotta like schedule, then life happens, and they reschedule, and then they think about it and they procrastinate further. You know that. So when they're in the gym, you have an actual in-person chance to add value to that person, to show them a great experience, because that's another thing I would like to touch on. Like, sessions are great and, oh man, great workout. but you want to create an experience for your customers.
Right.
Like, wow, bro, like I left here an hour later and I feel better. Thank you.
Yeah.
So that's like part of my job is like knowing they're coming in ready to work out or whatever, but they also need that little extra mental push, if you will, because it's a combination. Like I said, mind, muscle, their spirit too. But like, let's leave that. Like, we'll leave that for last. And then, so yeah, in person, they're already in the treadmill. They're already working out. You're already in the gym. Close them, approach them. What do you have to lose? They're there.
The future. So when I got into bodybuilding at a young age, and I think the biggest reason was I would see, at least for me, Christian Guzman, Steve Cook. I think Paige Hathaway was kind of around that time.
Oh, yeah.
And my entire mindset was get super shredded, build a following, and then that would help me make money. For anyone who's getting into bodybuilding now, maybe the younger guys, what do you think the future of bodybuilding is? Would you even recommend it? You've been in it a long time. If you could go back, would you do it again? Or what would you give advice to maybe a younger guy who's thinking about getting into it?
I don't think you need to compete to be a successful trainer. I don't think that it's a necessity. Does it add value, and does it give you like credibility as a athlete / trainer? Sure. But just because you did a show doesn't automatically validate that you're a trainer or a coach.
Right.
And a lot of people do that. And even at an amateur level, they become online coaches after their first show. It's like, dude, basically you're just gonna like sell the plan your coach gave you to like everyone.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way. You know what I mean? I don't think competition is a necessity to be a trainer.
Yeah.
I did it because my first passion was competition, and I wanted to be Mr. Olympia. I wanted to be Chris Bumstead. That was my vision. And it's so challenging, and the toll that it takes on your body and your career, your relationships, your friends. Like the demand was to be competitive at a high level. At this stage in my life, I felt it was like too much for me to give to that. And there's really, besides personal like victory and maybe a trophy and $5,000 if you win, there's not much ROI on that dedication.
Yeah. So what would you recommend then? Because it sounds like you don't think that's really the path. So what do you think the better path is, if you think there is one?
I believe if you, like you're saying, for a trainer,
anyone who's either wants to be a trainer or maybe get into bodybuilding. So if their path is, hey, I see Chris Bumstead, I want to be Chris Bumstead, which 99.999% of people will never hit or even get close to, right?
Yeah.
Let's not even talk about the Olympians. Let's talk about the regular guy.
right?
What's a better path, or is there a better path that you would recommend or say, hey, this is where I would try to put my time and effort versus maybe doing that?
Okay, so getting on stage is the most challenging thing you could probably do, at least in my opinion, because it's sculpting your flesh for 12 weeks, really dialed in, disciplined on the diet, the posing, the training, the supplementation, and the sacrifices that you make with family, friends, and relationships to look a certain way for one day, and then that day comes and goes. You didn't place because the judges didn't necessarily find you. They didn't like you. It was your first show. No one knows you. There's so many politics involved, right? But besides that, Monday morning, you're going to be back to work, and you're going to be back to life. And the project's over. The goal is over. And this is what I mean. Like, if I could give the best advice, the dedication and discipline it takes to get on stage, if you divert 1% of that discipline to any endeavor,
Yeah.
you'll make it. Make it big.
Yeah.
Because again, to get on stage, you're a 1%er.
Right.
Like, put it to you like this. Like, I've been an IFBB pro since 2018, and like I read up, like there's only a certain percentage of IFBB pros. And I thought it was saturated. There's really not.
Yeah.
Because it takes that much. Forget getting on stage as an amateur. To become pro
It's way harder.
is bananas.
Yeah. I mean, even if you just go to what's the step up at NPC they do in Miami? Which one is that? The
NPC
qualifiers, right?
Yeah, the NPC Nationals.
Even that, I mean, some of those guys who go in there, it's insane. It's absolutely insane.
They're pro level.
Yeah.
So, and every year it gets more challenging because these guys get bigger, freakier.
Oh man, you remember 2013 when Physique came out?
They were surfers.
Yeah, they were surfers.
And now they're bodybuilders with shorts on, right? Evolution.
Right.
Even bodybuilding in general. I mean, remember Arnold, like he was massive, but he had an aesthetic physique where it was like attractive to like grandmothers, mothers, kids. Everyone idolized this guy. Not too many people idolize Ronnie Coleman. Respect to him.
Mm-hmm.
He was arguably, like for what bodybuilding is, the best bodybuilder of all time because he progressed every year. But do you want to look like Ronnie Coleman? I don't.
Huge,
you know what I mean? I'd rather look like Arnold, you know?
Yeah.
So I feel
well, now
like
it's Chris Bumstead. I mean, and he looks closer to him, right? I mean, it's more of that classic look, right, that everyone's talking about.
But
right
now he's like, there's, I don't know, there's talk that he might go to open bodybuilding.
Oh, really?
For next year. Exactly.
Wow.
Because he's in classic, there's like weight caps for your height.
Well, they're trying to make it so he doesn't keep winning. And that's what they got to try to do because he's kicking everyone's ass.
And also in bodybuilding, like bodybuilding means like progressing from year to year, right? And if you have a weight restriction, muscle weighs more than fat. So like, where do you go from there? Like that's what happened to me. I was always so challenged to make my weight for my height, which I believe was 212. And I walk around 230. I would say right now, if I, take off my shirt, I would say I'm sub 8% body fat. So where do you go? You have to lose muscle to just weigh in for the show.
Get lower, yeah.
And then like to fill up, my body doesn't fill up like that fast. I always look best the day after the show.
Right, of course.
I can never nail it.
That crap always made me mad when I had a photo shoot or something. And
you look better the day. Like, so it could be so many factors. I believe your nerves play a role because like there's something called stage fright.
Right, of course.
You're in a thong in front of a couple hundred people. It's true though. You know what I mean? Well, Speedos, whatever. So it's nerve-wracking, and I remember when I would go solo on stage for the routine is when I would really get nervous. But in the lineup where you're like battling it out, like, okay, front lat spread, whatever, with the guys, I was more confident because now you're just being judged, and that's where you win the show.
Yeah.
The routine is the art, and the song and all that. It's like a ballet, but I would really get nervous for the routines and stuff.
So something that I think people are going to find extremely interesting is, we met, we talked, had a couple lunches here and there, but then one day I remember, I think I texted you maybe, and you said, yeah, dude, I'm Steve Will Do It's trainer now. And I was like, how did that happen? So maybe so everyone listening, walk through the conversation or like walk through how that even came to be. How did you end up being, one of the biggest YouTubers? I mean, I guess he's not technically now, but he's one of probably the biggest icons out there in terms of the social space right now. Like, how did that even happen?
So that's a good question. I was training Vitaly, which is an ex-YouTuber.
One. Yeah, another one, right? And he still does some stuff, right?
He's now like coming back into the scene. Yeah.
Was he the guy who got arrested like on the pyramids or something? Is that the same guy? I remember this guy. Okay.
Yeah, Vitaly's one of like the original YouTuber,
right?
GOAT, greatest of all time.
Yeah.
I think he was like first to like 10 million subs.
Jeez.
I mean, yeah, and he was like, pranking and doing all these like creative videos and funny, obviously. But he had some personal issue, and like he, fell off, like for lack of better words. But I helped him in those times, in those dark times that everyone, when you're a star, everyone's around you.
When you're
And when you
not.
fall, people disappear. So I was his backbone during that time frame. And then since he's a famous ex-YouTuber, Steve will do it, walked into the gym one day and just passingly, he said hi, they caught up, and then he introduced me as his trainer, but nothing came of that. Like it was passing. Then about a couple of weeks later, I was at the gym, and again, like for trainers listening, like you got to be at the gym and you got to be available. So I saw Steve working out by himself, and I was legitimately concerned.
Okay, so pause there. Can you tell, like, hopefully he won't get mad if he saw this, but like,
No.
can you explain or maybe even show what does it look like when Steve is doing a set, but maybe before you met him, like explain that. Cause I know what it looks like, but I want people to be able to understand.
He just he just trains like a certain way that is very unique. But he does push hard. Just,
Yeah.
you know, he just goes a little ballistic.
Like out of control, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
like,
it's just, he looks like he's like, he's doing the set too fast.
too fast.
Right?
Like he'll let's say we're doing preacher curls, and he starts off good, but once it starts hurting, he'll like stand up, and then he'll like just like do weird, unorthodox things, you know. And at first, like I would try to, you know, obviously as a trainer, correct it and stuff like that. But as you start to understand that training isn't about training, it's a people business.
Yeah.
It really is. Yeah. It's finding out the person and helping them and making them better. So yeah, I was watching him work out by himself. I was very concerned. And then he was doing dumbbell bench press, and I kind of saw that he was struggling and it wasn't looking too good. So I went over there and I spotted him. And we got a couple extra reps. I motivated him. And as soon as we finished, he got up and walked away. No, thank you. No, hey, good looking out. Like, yo, thank you, bro. Wow, good spot. He just got up and walked away. And I was like, dumbfounded. I was like,
What a dick.
bro, what? Like, this shit's crazy. And then, and then finally, he was on the treadmill one day. It was the morning. I already had Vitaly's before and after of like, I think working with him like 7 weeks. Hard-working guy, followed the whole protocol. He really made some changes.
Yeah.
And I pulled it up on my Instagram because I had posted it already. And I went up to Steve on the treadmill. And I said, hey, brother, this is the results I rendered for Vitaly. I would like to be your trainer. Just like that. And he like,
Wow.
can we start now? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, let's do shoulders and triceps. So I ran him through, a little shoulder tricep workout. And, you know, I do train different. I'll just say it like that. And he was like, bro, what the fuck? I've never felt like this. This is a crazy pump. Holy shit. Like he felt really good. He was like amazed. And then right then and there, he asked me if I could go to his house and train Selena,
Right.
his fiance.
Right.
And I was like, sure. What time? And he was like, oh, be there at 3. So that's what happened. I went to his house, and the rest is history. Cause like he showed me, like he has a gym, like he made this a gym.
Wow. Like in his condo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a full blown gym, like
Wow.
everything crazy. And then I was blown away by that. And then he showed me the man cave, which is another penthouse over there. He had dinosaurs and motorcycles and like a gas station. Like, you know how like you walk into a gas station and have like the gum and like, you know, like all
He's
that
got like
little
all that
setup.
stuff on the shelf.
But it's all drugs. It's all like, yeah. No, seriously. So it's like, it's a gas station setup. I mean, he does have chips and Twix and Cheetos.
got a couple things from the convenience store.
But then the rest, like Coke, Molly, you know, liquor, weed, whatever.
Wow.
Like, yeah, just there, like that anyone can come over and go to their gas station and just get whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, and honestly, when we started, I was just training him as part of my clientele.
Mm-hmm.
And there were a couple times within, because we started like I'd say October, and like from October to January, there was several moments that it's hard for me, because obviously Steve became a priority to me, you
Sure.
know, but it's hard for me to accommodate Steve, but also you have a Tanner
Sure.
that might not be as famous, but is financially
Still
respectively same tax bracket.
right.
I can't tell you, dude, Steve just called me this morning and wants 9 a.m. Can you do 10?
Sure.
Because you have meetings, your schedule, you have your
Stuff.
profession,
Yeah.
right? So that challenge like happened several times. And like finally one time I couldn't accommodate to him. I had to, you know, train this he owns Ocean Bank. So
Yeah.
and after that, I think maybe, I don't know, but in January, he asked me to fire all my clients and train him exclusively. Like me and him,
Which
and
is
wherever he
wild.
goes.
Right.
And I was like, holy, that's crazy. Because I mean, listen, celebrity trainer, in my opinion, has two like meanings. One is you train celebrities.
Right.
But two is you actually become a celebrity.
Yeah.
And kind of like organically that happened to me. Really, I went to Elevation just wanting to train celebrities.
Yeah.
But never in my wildest dream was that a goal. So like sometimes you make plans and God laughs. Like he might have something greater for you. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, I fired everyone.
And so was I thought it was even sooner. Was it just this last January?
Yeah, 2023.
Oh, so it was last year, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, because I'm about to say, I was like, I thought it'd been a little bit longer. I was thinking this past January.
Last year, January 2023.
So you've been doing it about a year. You don't have to get into specific numbers, but just we were talking about earlier, to give people or the listeners an idea, how much more are you making now only training Steve than you were with your entire client roster?
Well, it's public knowledge because he did a podcast and it was him, Bradley, Martin, and Steiny, and they actually disclosed my salary. Because it was funny. The topic was they were talking about the WNBA,
Yeah.
and like how like that sport like just doesn't do numbers. Like
Yeah.
it's just like I don't want to say it sucks because that's
Right, but it doesn't draw
just
views.
doesn't do NBA numbers or whatever. And then they started talking about like Donald Trump had said if he was the coach of a female team and LeBron was interested in like becoming a transgender, he would hire LeBron as the player and win the championship every year, right? Like think about it, because now he's a female.
Yeah.
So that started the topic of the WNBA, and then they started going over like the poor numbers, all this stuff, and then like the salaries of actually some of the WNBA players, which vary, but like typically it's like 200 to 300K a year. And then like Steve jokingly said, my trainer makes more than that.
Yeah.
And Bradley was like, what the like, are you crazy? You know? But I was doing very well at Elevation.
I remember you were doing, in fact, you more so just said you wanted time back. I mean, that's I think for in-person trainings, you probably agree. I mean, you can, in Miami, I feel like you do some pretty crazy numbers.
I was.
It's just the time, right?
Correct. So I was at the gym. It varied, but like, yeah, 8 to 10 hours a day. And yeah, making a killing, but you're exchanging your life for that. And then like just time.
Yeah.
So Steve freed up all that time and compensated me above that. So just like a rough estimate, like over $250,000 last year. And amazing.
Yeah, and it's like
it
there's
freed
no
up
way you could hit that with, I mean, all your clientele, yeah, but I mean, one person, that's crazy.
Well, exactly. So and not to mention, like, I love you, Steve. Like, just all the traveling.
Yeah.
Like, I went to like Hawaii, Canada, California, Mexico. It's like just so many places. I know I'm forgetting a ton, but like the traveling was fun too.
So many.
And then going to like different gyms and shit
Yeah.
and different places, like just like experiencing all that along with your salary, of course. Like it was like an amazing experience for me.
What's the average day look like? So is it one session with him a day and the rest of the day is yours, or what does the average day look like now?
No, he was training twice a day. He was training
Twice a day.
Yeah.
So you do weights twice.
Yeah, we would do mornings and evenings.
He doesn't come off to me like he would be into that only because of his name, right? So Steve will do it. The way I found out about him is I think he took I don't know how big it was, but it was a large amount of alcohol, and I think he just slurped it down in about 5 seconds. So that doesn't really go in line with health per se. So like how does that work?
Well, so what's funny is I didn't know who Steve was when I approached him. Like Vitaly kind of told me a little bit about him, but
you had no idea.
I had no idea who
Really?
Steve Will Do It was, and
Wow.
and who he is or was, or
Wow.
you know. And so I went up to him just like blindly, not knowing who he is. Legitimately, I'm a little older, so I don't know who he was.
Yeah.
I actually low key think he appreciated that. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because
a
everyone's
lot of people get approached for interest,
of course,
you know, and
they're getting something out of it, and
right.
and what's their angle, and
especially these guys. I mean,
Yeah.
even to this day, I get call, DM'd, or message to
get
like,
through to
get
them.
like as a bridge to them, and I have to protect them.
Yeah, so pause on that. I'm actually curious. Like, how does that make you feel? Does it upset you? Is it annoying? Like what is when that happens? Do you kind of take like offense almost? Like it's a slight? Like how does that feel?
That's a good question. So the other day at the gym, these 3 videographers, random, never seen them before, and they were soliciting their
Services. Yeah.
You saw, right?
What time was it? I didn't. Okay.
Yeah. So they were there like, hey, we'll film you and whatever. But I had a full send fitness jacket on, sweater. And obviously a lot of people approach me for them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I thought they were doing that. And I said, look, right now we're not filming. We're training. Exactly. And actually Kyle shows up while I'm having this conversation. And he was like, hey, boys, good morning. And I was like, yo, I don't know these kids. He was like, oh, I thought they were with you. And I'm like, no. But they, for a breath of fresh air, they weren't there to try to bridge to them. They actually saw the shirt and just wanted to film me and do a workout video, whatever. But does it upset me? No, because I guess it comes with the territory. But like that's all people do is just kind of like, hey, let me meet, or can you get me a picture, or can you have Steve send me $1,000? I need it. My car broke down. Like
No
crazy
shit.
DMs. Like, yeah.
So what's the all right, so maybe tell us the craziest DM, and then maybe tell me the most normal thing. So what's the most normal thing someone's asking you, and then what is the craziest thing someone's ever asked you?
So normal would be like, hey, can you have Steve send me, some help, or like money, or like stuff like that, or just like, can you have him like call me or talk to me, or bro, like strangers DMing me, bro. Like I'm like, what the fuck?
Wow.
And then I would say the craziest ones is like, bro, people like legit like, hey, I don't have a car. Do you think you could ask Steve to buy me a car?
Steve will, and you're like, Steve will do it.
I'm like, bro, what?
Wow.
So like crazy requests to ask my client, and obviously it never got to him, but this was daily. Like, and more when he like would post me on his story or whatever, like my shit
Of course.
would go nuts.
Of course.
Nuts.
So what's been the biggest change since then, since you started working for Steve? What has been kind of the biggest life changes? And then, what opportunities do you have now? Like, talk me through that, because I'm sure I mean, that's where my head goes is, you know, what's changed in a positive way? Maybe, I mean, you've obviously talked about the negative, but like, how has life changed at all?
Forever grateful, first of all. My life really did take a 180. I was working 10, 12 hours a day. Again, making a nice living, but making a living.
Yeah.
And now I feel that I've taken my career to the next level because of the networking that happened last year, meeting all these different people and just building relationships with that level of,
Influence. Yeah.
network. So now, just your value goes up. See what I'm saying? So I have a different change of like, not just like rate, but like just value that I bring, right? And then secondarily is Nelk now is offering me, like an online opportunity with Full Send Fitness as a consultant, which is like
amazing,
kind of
bro.
like what we've spoken about. Because, listen, at the end of the day, if even you're charging $1,000 a session at the gym, you're still exchanging time for dollar.
Of course.
And it's a skewed business concept, if you ask me. But we're moving in that direction where online I'll be more prominent. But I do love training people.
Sure.
Like I am passionate about my job. I don't think even if I didn't have to, I think I'll still help people at the gym because I actually enjoy that.
Yeah.
I'm very passionate about that. Like I'll do that for free.
So now knowing what you know now, obviously you worked with Steve, do you think for the average fitness buff or, any of the guys listening to this, do you think online's the way to go? Or what are your thoughts on that?
Listen, every trainer that I've talked to in every gym that I've been in the United States, they're all making an effort to transition online, because again, whether $100 an hour, $250 or $1,000, you have to be present. You have to be there. You have to be, you're exchanging your time for a salary, which I get it. Online, you have an opportunity to work with more of a population. You know what I mean? You can impact more people online than just one-on-one.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, I know that like you have to kind of focus on one thing and give it 100%, because if not, you're compromising one or the other. But if you're doing online already, I would like dial in with that 100%, because you have more volume than just the gym one by one, and there's only so many hours a day.
Yeah.
It's 8 hours.
And then the
hours.
plan for you is, are you going to do some type of collaboration with Nelk? Or are you going to do something kind of separate? Or I guess, is it Nelk or Full Send? It's kind of the same thing, correct? I'm saying that right, yeah?
Full Send Fitness, yeah.
So is that kind of the plan moving forward? Are you going to do something separate?
Well, right now, that's Kyle already sent it to John Shahidi, and so I'm waiting on.
Is like John the manager's making, or who?
John's the CEO, president.
Got it. Okay, the whole thing.
Boss,
okay, got it. Okay.
So, and I love John. Shout out to John. So we're waiting on that, and it's just a matter of time. But I am branding myself.
Yeah.
I'm branding myself. Like I'm creating something bigger than just Turo. Yeah. I'm creating a brand and a logo and a movement, because you gotta add. How could I say this? You got to build something bigger than yourself.
Yeah.
So I'm doing that simultaneously alongside Full Send.
And I think, like, honestly, it's in your benefit, because while I think we all hope for the best, you never know what could happen. And I think you should definitely take this opportunity and leverage it as much as you can, because obviously you're there to help them, but I don't see any reason why at the same time you shouldn't be leveraging it for your benefit.
Yeah. And listen, that was a fine line all last year, because I'll explain why it's a fine line. Like, you don't want to be a clout chaser around these guys. I'll explain. Like, outside of the gym, like we'd go gambling, we're with Dana White, Sugar Sean, like all these people, and there's cameras and all this stuff. Like, I would move and like get out, like
Yeah.
I knew how to play my role.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
got to
yeah.
play your part. Like you
Yeah.
can't be doing jumping jacks in front of cameras with these people.
Yeah.
Like trying to leverage it in that sense.
Of course.
So that's why I mean it's a thin line. Like you do want to promote yourself, you do want to post them on the story, you do want to like add value to yourself because of who you're training.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they enjoy privacy. They enjoy like that time where it's not
course.
cameras and scripted and because that's their job.
Yeah.
So like sometimes they like that, or sometimes they'll bring the crew and we'll film the workout.
And I think from meeting you, you understand that. And I think just some people you just don't want to make them feel like that's the only reason you're there. And as long as you're looking for situations where it's like, hey, let me maybe step out here or do that. I think a lot of people pick up on that, because I notice that too, because, if I have people approach me, I'll look to see what their actions do over time. And I'm like, if I feel like they're constantly trying to put themselves in a position to gain leverage, that's where it will start to irk me, because then I'm going, okay, the only reason you're doing this is to get something. And that turns everyone off. That turns everyone off.
And since these guys get approached like that
Constantly.
in volume.
Yeah. In fact, the thing that I think I envy the most about your situation is I genuinely enjoy these types of combos a lot. But because it's unfortunate, because at that level, people are constantly trying to get something more than that, it's harder to get. But I genuinely would love to just sit down, even with you. Like, I love this type of stuff because I genuinely love learning, and I get curious, and I'm like, so how's this? How'd you do that? And I think that's actually a great thing you have right now, is just watching how they move, watching how they think. I find that stuff extremely interesting.
Yeah. Like even now, Kyle, like they're coming up with like gym skits, because like, they're doing.
You got him into that. Bro, I'm telling you, they looked like shit before you. I'm like, I'm just saying, like, they did not look that good. And then you could tell when that happened. And so how does that work? Explain that. You're working with Steve, but I do see you train the Nelk team.
Yeah.
So how does that work?
So Steve is living in Las Vegas.
Oh, he doesn't live here anymore.
No,
Did he move?
No, well, he moved, but he still has like the condos or
Got
whatever.
it. Okay.
But he's permanently residing in Vegas, and it's ironic that the Nelk boys moved from California, Orange County, to Miami, Florida, December 1st. So that happened organically. So I basically went from traveling to Vegas back and forth to basically, okay, take care of Nelk. Then in that last trip to Vegas, we were having just like a conversation about competition. That actually this girl, Sarah Safari,
I know who that is.
She's amazing. She's so nice.
She seems nice.
Yeah, super nice girl. She asked me like, man, why don't you compete? You look great. You're in shape. This and that. Because I'm done competing, like officially, I'm retired. So I said, no.
You guys would laugh if you saw what he looks like on camera, but keep
So,
going.
She was like, man, like, like you should compete, this and that. So we started talking about competition over dinner. And basically, Kyle and I came up with an idea to do a competition with the Nelk boys
Right.
on a yacht in Miami, March 9th, the day of UFC 299. And that's the whole plan right now.
Yeah.
So that was birthed at a dinner in Vegas, and then it's official. Like there's a competition March 9th between
Like
all
fitness
these boys.
competition? Like, is it going to be like
Best
push-ups?
transformation. Best
Okay.
fitness competition.
Okay, because I'm like picturing, are they doing push-ups or jumping jacks?
No.
Okay.
It's like who did the best transformation.
Right, okay.
Like, so Gabe has lost a ton of weight. He's looking great, actually. Dana White posted his transformation because he already did a transformation. Now it's like this for this show.
Yeah.
And I love what they're doing because like they're moving with the market. Like, these guys are getting older. People like fitness, and the chugging bottles.
It's a younger demographic. The thing I've always found interesting is I respect those guys 100%, but I think when you're doing those things, it really draws in more of the younger demographic. And I mean, I'm assuming if I looked at their numbers, that's what they're pulling in. And so I think like what I saw, like what Logan Paul kind of did with his podcast and stuff, that's kind of that direction eventually you might have to go. I mean, unless you just want to stay in that demographic forever, which I'm assuming as they get older,
Gotta grow.
they don't want to.
Right.
Yeah, they don't want to.
Gotta grow.
A funny question. You know, it seems to me on the outside, and it may just be how they're using their social media, but I find this interesting. You know, Steiny he kind of seems like this like outcast or like this like the scapegoat that like everyone and everything is just constantly throwing shit at him. I mean, like, is that like an angle or what is it?
I think it's organic. I just think it flows. Yeah, it's crazy. He's funny though. I love Steiny. He's a character. But yeah, it just works. I don't know. It's like chemistry, right? Like it just flows, and like he gets always the tail end of the stick. But like he's just funny though. He just adds he's a good character to the pod. You know what I mean? And he's not like well liked like with like some of the guests. Like you saw that.
Well, and that's what I
had
mean
with
the comedian.
Not only the Schultz, but
Schultz,
also like
Andrew Schultz, right?
Sean Strickland, the UFC fighter.
Yeah, I didn't see that one.
He told Steiny, bro, I would love to come across this desk and just fuck your ass up right now. This is a UFC champion.
Yeah, which
Telling
would not end well at all.
No,
Yeah.
and Steiny was like, well, so it's crazy. Yeah. But he just asks good questions. He's good. Like everyone really enjoys him.
So I guess like last question is, I mean, what's next for you? I mean, obviously it seems like everything, you're on the golden road to El Dorado, like everything's going smooth. I mean, I couldn't be more happy for you. What's kind of like next for you on the horizon?
You know, lately I've been getting a lot of like trainers like that are up and coming asking me, what's the road? How do I do this? You know,
Like, do they want to be like you?
correct.
Right? Yeah.
So I kind of want to like create some type of, not I train your trainer out of ego. No, but I want to train trainers to become successful.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like kind of like what you do online, help trainers scale and
Online,
grow.
yeah.
Me do it on an in-person basis because there's a ton of trainers that are starting hungry and they don't know what they're doing.
Oh, 100%.
They need guidance.
Yeah.
And if I'm at a certain level and they want to achieve that, I think that I can help create some type of program or some type of digital product to help them get there.
Yeah. So is that
That's
like
a project that I'm working on
yeah.
currently.
Well, and you could, because if you think about it, online is completely different than in person. And I've
100%.
said that 100 times. Like, it's just different marketing, different talking.
Yeah.
I think you have that down. Like, you get that game. And that's obviously why you're in the position you are. For anyone who wants to get in contact with you or wants to know more about you, your programs, your products, etc., where can they find you?
Instagram at Team Turo, Facebook Arturo Mendez. No website. I thought that was a mission. Like, it's an extra step. People like hate taking an extra step. I find DM me, I get in contact with you, we set up a phone call, and we work from there.
Nice.
I just find that more effective,
It's definitely faster.
faster. Skipping a step.
Yeah. Well, bro, thanks for coming. I've been wanting to do this for a second. I've been super
Thank you
busy.
for
I've
having
been
me.
traveling, but dude, super happy for you.
And you're an inspiration to me, just FYI, dog. Like you
I appreciate it, man.
You inspire me. Like, look at all your accolades. I'm like very honored to be here, privileged to be here, and like I do also want to learn from you.
Dude, I mean, anytime. I mean, I wouldn't have you here.
I just want to give you that credit because you are a
appreciate
boss,
that.
and I appreciate you, and like you inspire me. So
Thanks,
thank
man.
you.
Dude, yeah, thanks for being here. That's it. All right, man.